There's something curious about MMA. Some fights make sense from a sporting perspective, others make sense financially, and sometimes there's a fight that mixes both. In recent days, a rumor started circulating in the MMA world involving two names who are at very different moments in their careers: Carlos Prates and Conor McGregor. A possible super fight. But according to Prates himself, that fight didn't happen for one simple reason. In his view, McGregor ran from the matchup. Welcome to the MMA Circuit, the channel where we analyze the world of MMA with depth, history, and context. And the story of this potential fight involves rumors, controversial statements, and a very interesting analysis of the current moment of two completely different fighters. Because when this story started circulating, several major MMA outlets picked it up. Sites like MMA Fighting, Yahoo Sports, and the Brazilian outlet AgFight reported Carlos Prates' comments about a possible fight against McGregor. It all started when former UFC champion Henry Cejudo raised the possibility of a matchup between the two on social media. The idea quickly caught the attention of the MMA community. And that's no surprise. Whenever Conor McGregor's name appears in any super fight discussion, the entire sport pays attention. After all, McGregor remains one of the biggest stars in UFC history. But it was when Carlos Prates commented on the situation that the story really started gaining traction. In an interview with the channel Laerte Viana na Área, MMA, the Brazilian said he believes the UFC may have considered the fight. According to him, his name was presented as a possible opponent for McGregor. But in Prates' view, the Irishman didn't accept. The statement quickly went viral. Outlets like AgFight reproduced the Brazilian's full quote, and international platforms like Yahoo Sports also echoed the provocation. But there is an important point here. So far, there has been no official confirmation that the UFC actually offered this fight. No announcement from the organization, no statement from McGregor's team, and no comment from Conor himself. In other words, what exists so far is Prates' statement and the media reaction. But now I want to bring something different to this discussion. My analysis as an MMA fan and creator of the MMA Circuit. Because when you look at this potential fight a little more calmly, it reveals something very interesting. First, let's talk about Carlos Prates. For any UFC fighter, facing Conor McGregor will always be a massive fight. It's the money fight. And we've seen that happen many times in the past. Fighters like Michael Chandler have tried several times to set up a fight with McGregor. Charles Oliveira has also publicly talked about that possibility. Because fighting McGregor means worldwide visibility. It means pay-per-view. It means money. But when we look at the other side of the equation, the story starts to change a little. Would this fight really be interesting for Conor McGregor? Because there's a factor that can't be ignored. McGregor hasn't fought frequently for a long time. He's been inactive. He's no longer the young fighter who dominated the sport years ago. And more importantly, he's already past his prime. When McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo in just 13 seconds, it shocked the entire MMA world. At that moment, he was something new, an unpredictable striker, a fighter who was difficult to study. But today, the situation is different. Conor McGregor's game has already been completely mapped out. Opponents have studied his style. They've understood the patterns. And when that happens in MMA, the competitive advantage starts to fade. On the other hand, when we look at Carlos Prates, we see a completely different scenario. Prates is a younger fighter, explosive, with an extremely dangerous striking style. His jab is very powerful, and the knee he uses, typical of traditional Muay Thai, is an extremely dangerous weapon. And to be completely honest with you, analyzing the styles of both fighters, I really struggle to imagine a scenario where McGregor would win this fight. In my view, the most likely result would be a knockout victory for Carlos Prates. But there's another interesting detail in this story. McGregor recently started talking about the possibility of fighting at a UFC event at the White House, an idea that generated a lot of attention. But honestly, in my opinion, that sounds much more like a way to stay relevant than a real plan for a comeback. Because if McGregor truly wanted to return to the octagon with a more strategic fight, he would probably choose a more favorable matchup. Something similar to what happened when he fought Donald Cerrone, a fight that was technically much more comfortable for him. When he fought Dustin Poirier again, for example, the result was very different. Poirier won twice. And in the second fight, McGregor suffered an even tougher defeat. So looking at all of this, I really don't see much sporting logic for McGregor to accept a fight against a young and dangerous striker like Carlos Prates. Now, while these rumors circulate on the internet, there's a very real fight that is about to happen, and it could completely change the direction of Prates' career. According to outlets like MMA Fighting, ESPN, and Globo Esporte, Carlos Prates will face Jack Della Maddalena in the main event of a UFC card in Perth, Australia. And a lot of people are already treating that fight as if it's going to be easy for the Brazilian. But I don't see it that way. I really don't think it will be an easy fight. Della Maddalena is an extremely dangerous striker, and when two high-level strikers face each other, any small detail can decide the fight. I do give a slight edge to Carlos Prates, but I'm not expecting an easy fight. Quite the opposite. I'm expecting a war. Because there's an interesting trait among many Brazilian fighters, especially those who enjoy striking. They usually don't look for the cage, nor do they try to take the fight to the ground. They want a brawl. Even fighters with a jiu-jitsu background, like Charles Oliveira, often prefer to trade punches and put on a show. And because of that, in my opinion, this fight between Prates and Della Maddalena has all the ingredients to end in a knockout. If it goes to the judge's decision, it will probably be after a lot of heavy exchanges. And now I want to know your opinion. If this fight between Carlos Prates and Conor McGregor actually happened, who would win? And in the real fight that's already scheduled, who do you think wins? Carlos Prates or Jack Della Maddalena? Leave your opinion here in the comments and let's hype this debate. And of course, if you enjoy deep analysis about the world of MMA, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because here at the MMA Circuit, we truly analyze the sport, and I'll see you in the next video.